Welcome back to the Neighbors Podcast. Today's guest is Patryk Krasinska. He is, a chef, a restaurateur, a business owner. He was a stay-at-home dad for a while, and he just loves the Lord. And he is one of the famous sausage dudes, which if you recall our Christmas gift guide, we talked about the sausage dudes and how they make all different types of sausage, and most of the proceeds go to benefit missions and the Boys and Girls Clubs and youth around our city and our country. It's an incredible organization and delicious sausage, but his story is incredible. He grew up in Poland and in Costa Rica, grew up around cooking, grew up around the richness of what it's like to share a meal around the table. So then you take that experience with his relationship with the Lord and how God's used food in his life to be a vehicle and a vessel to share the gospel and just love people really well. And it's so inspiring. He has taken steps forward, steps backwards, all to get to where he is today. And the lessons that he's learned along the way are so inspiring. And the stories he has to tell are just incredible. So I can't wait for you to hear our conversation. Here it is with Patryk. All right, neighbors, we have a special day today because we have one of the sausage dudes in the flesh in our studio. Patryk, we're so glad that you're here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And you're rocking your sausage dudes shirt and hat, and you just gave me one, which I'm so excited about. And for all the people new listening, we did a holiday gift guide or Christmas gift guide back in December, so a few months ago. And we talked about the sausage dudes because you have the most amazing sausage and brats and all the things. And we'll talk about it a little more as we go. But Patryk, your story is incredible. Your newfound business ministry is incredible. And there's so much that we can learn from you. And you're just so lovable. You really are.
Thank you.
Okay, but my first question is sausage your favorite food to eat?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. But yes, it's in one of the, yes.
So you're not sick of it?
No. Yesterday I went to a restaurant and guess what I ordered? They're not mine, but I enjoy when it's a good sausage. So I just literally stood up and they told the guy, hey, man, that sausage is really good. Thank you so much.
Wow.
He's like, what? I was like, yeah, man. But so I enjoy that because there's a lot of that you put into it that is not just a sausage, what we normally think it is.
Right. Okay, so other than sausage, what is your favorite food to eat?
I love soups a lot.
Really?
I grew up with soups in Poland. They grew up, give you soups every day as your first plate, and then they give you the second plate with other things. So my favorite soup is zalewajka.
Okay,
which is a sausage soup.
You're kidding me.
Yes.
Do Polish people only eat sausage?
No. They eat a lot of pork, but that one is just remind me. I don't know if when you talk about what is your favorite dish to eat, I relate that with a memory.
Okay.
So if you ask me, okay, what is your favorite dish to eat? I was actually thinking about it. I was like, yes, it's zalewajka because I remember my grandpa and my grandma making it. Then that's my favorite thing to cook for my kids. Oh. But if you take like the Costa Rican side, I love like a black bean stew. They're perfectly like seasoned and all that with white rice. That's it.
Oh,
and maybe a hard-boiled egg or don't judge me, or a canned tuna. You just put it there and mix everything. That is amazing.
Okay.
So I'm very simple, but those little things remind me something. That's why for me it's so good to eat.
Well, we're going to get into the power of a meal and of preparing a meal. But that is so interesting to think about that. I bet a lot of people's favorite food, if they really thought about it, is actually more tied to a positive memory or at least just like some sort of comfortable feeling than it is like the actual taste of the food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite food? You said you like to cook that soup.
Yes,
you like to cook the soup. But is that your favorite food to cook?
I think it's the favorite reaction that I get.
Okay.
Because when my kids eat it, they ask for 2-3 plates. And we eat that for lunch, for dinner, and even for breakfast the next day.
Wow.
It's delicious.
I need this recipe.
Yes. But yeah, I think it's that and maybe steaks. I know it's very easy. Oh, yeah, but you need some kind of skill to cook a good steak. Vegetables, I don't know. I just vegetables, but
just
whatever.
Vegetables. Okay, well, everything that I've had a lot of your cooking over the
Yes.
years, and I've never had something I didn't like. You
Oh,
are
thank you.
truly one of the most gifted chefs I've ever
Thank you.
encountered.
Thank you.
And you do it with so much joy. And so, where did your love of cooking come from? Did you grow up around cooking?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that.
So I come from, let's say, I can divide myself in two cultures. So Polish culture is everything hospitality around food.
Okay.
So I grew up in a farm where I have this vivid memory every Friday. My grandpa, my great uncle, even my dad, they go invite other farmers around. They go to a meat block. That's very common. It's like your garage. We have a meat block in Poland. Meat block is like, imagine like a big walk-in freezer.
Okay.
So they had a table there and they play cards. And one of the things that I always remember is like, you have sausages, you have hams, you have all that.
Just hanging around.
And then you have a knife. So there's pictures of me that my grandpa fed me with a knife when I was 2 years old.
Stop.
So I love knives, by the way. So anyway, you just cut, eat. And that around is like the preparation, all the thought that you put in a meal. I have that from my grandma. She's actually known, or she was known, like the jam lady. Not like the jam, like the music jam. No, it's like she made jams. And there's a huge, beautiful story that actually I used in one of the products that I had in Costa Rica to honor that memory.
Oh, wow.
If we go to Costa Rica, let's say, my grandma and my grandpa, they have an ice cream shop.
Okay.
And they have a little mini store. And I love those ice creams. One of the items that I put in one of the restaurants that I had in Costa Rica, we call it the lomo de abuelo. It's like the sirloin of the grandpa. And that was the sandwich that my grandpa used to make me when I went to school. I was the only kid weird with a piece of meat and But
Everyone
anyway.
else has peanut butter and jelly. You got
Exactly.
your steak sandwich.
I got steaks and peppers.
with a
and,
nice Dijonaise.
Exactly. So, but that remind me that it's not only you can have that experience, but then you can communicate through that. So I always remember, if you're not peeling potatoes in the basement, or if you're not picking up beans, because normally now you can have beans in a can, but before then you just buy a whole bag of beans and you just have to take which one are bad. So I still have those memories, and I know maybe that sounds too grandma, but one of the biggest secrets, and I always tell people, is why your grandma's food or your grandpa food tastes so good.
That's right.
And they can give you the recipe. And even like, oh yeah, but she said pinch here, pinch there, and cut here, cut there. Sure, you can measure that. If you have a scale, you tell your grandma, please take that pinch of salt and put it in. You can do that. But you know what it is? It's all the love that they put in it. It's all the thoughts that you have, or at least I can learn it, that I imagine people eating what I'm cooking. And that's how you just do like a reverse engineer, and then you start building up.
I love
so
that.
Since when you pick the vegetables, or I don't know, it's something that I grew up with, and I've seen the importance of food for sure. And for example, there's a great story. I try to do this every single time that we have an event, that we are in somebody's house and we're doing something. So in Poland, because of the story of war and need and hard times, there is a tradition. So if you have guests in your house, you treat them like they are angels. You ask them to take their shoes, but not only take their shoes because the floor is dirty. No, take your shoes because we have flip-flops for you.
Oh, wow.
So they have collections of these leather flip-flops that you put your feet, so they don't see your fingers or your toes, but you can just put them in and you feel home. You don't have to leave. And here's one more part that I love that one. It is so cool to transfer that. You have this dinner, you invited people, probably you count, okay, I have 6 guests or 7 guests, and I need to have enough food for everyone. But guess what if somebody shows up in your door? You're going to invite them. So always there's an extra plate. And that extra plate, just give me a little, that extra plate is always served. It's made. It's there. Like, it's not that, oh, let me just open all the pots and pans and make all the sounds and just put your plate on. No, that plate is in the stove. So when you show up and you're not invited, the only thing that they will say is like, we were waiting for you. Come on, come on.
How
And they just put that
cool.
plate. So when we were doing all these sausage dinners and things like that, I intentionally do that and hide it somewhere. The other day I put a plastic plate in the oven so it's melted. But anyway, that is a different story. But I think that is what the meaning of how I enjoy food. Because you always want to
the
have, exactly. It's not about the food, it's about the people.
Oh, I love that. Okay, help everybody understand, because you have a lot of cultures happening here.
Yeah.
So help them understand your connection to Poland and Costa
Yes.
Rica.
Okay, that's good. I don't look like Polish. I think you look more Polish
Well,
than
that's
me.
what I asked you. I'm like, okay, so are you Polish or are you Costa Rican or are you both? How does this work?
So I was born in Poland, right? I lived there until I was 8. My dad is from Costa Rica. He won a scholarship and he went to Poland and he met my mom and ta-da, I was the surprise, right? No surprise, they were married and all that. But so after he finished his studies and all that, and my mom too, so they moved to Costa Rica.
Okay.
So I spent my life between Costa Rica and Poland.
Wow, so half of your childhood in Poland
Yes.
and then the other half was in Costa Rica.
And then
Okay.
every year we went back and forth.
Oh, wow.
Christmas
okay.
in Poland, summers in Costa Rica. Should be backwards, apparently, but I love cold.
Oh, yeah, the weather. Yeah.
But so I grew up like that.
Okay.
So that's why I have those two influences in me.
Does your cooking reflect that?
Yes.
Do you ever blend both?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, that seems so fun.
And it's so natural because you combine, and it's the perfect, and even no matter where, you just take that. Those little hints, those little, it doesn't have to be like super elaborate, right? Like
Right.
chemical rest. No, small hints, it will change that. But there's
Love
over
that.
the course of time.
Yeah. So when did cooking go from something you did in your family to actually being your profession? Like when did you know, okay, I think the culinary world is for me?
So I always been involved with food because my family, they had a business of sausages.
Oh, okay.
And not only sausages, they were butchers.
Okay.
So they okay, this is a funny story. But in both sides, like after World War II, Poland was put in a pickle, let's say, and there were not a lot of resources. There was different government over Poland. So anyway, my family were called the meat outlaws. Yes.
The meat outlaws.
Yes.
That is so epic.
It's a very cool. So if I take you now to the house, that there's still the basement, there's still the hooks that you put the animals and butcher them and do all that underground. Nobody see it. Nobody need to know.
Wow.
So I grew up with that part, and I thought it was normal because the communism was over Poland, so there were a lot of restrictions. If I ask you, if we work in an office in a normal, not physical job, you were only allowed to have between 2 and 4 pounds of meat per month for your family in a cart. If you work
That's
in the
not a
fields,
lot.
no.
No.
So that's how you. Anyway, that was part of the challenges in that moment. So my family said like, Dad, right? I'm
You're
behaving,
rebels.
and let's make it. So for me, that was very normal. Driving a Fiat little square car with a backside
With your
taken.
secret meat.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
This is
When you guys
amazing.
moved, when we moved here, the first time that I hear pigs in a blanket, I was like, "What the heck is that?" These people are doing. So my idea of a pig in a blanket is this one: being driving overnight.
Your secret pig.
Yes, in a big box in the back seat of a car, and they put the pig there. They put blankets, and I sit over it.
Stop.
And then you just go over a checkpoint, and there's the baby sitting over a freaking blanket and a pig. So that's my pig in a blanket
Wow,
idea.
That's incredible.
So when somebody brought me like this little thing with, I
You're
was
like,
no,
I think
that's
I might
not-
like this one better.
That's not. But so always that has been there. Then my grandpa, he had a store and a business. So I was always
Okay.
called and very intrigued about that. I did marketing and business administration and all that. But I think the time that I discovered and I can say this was it was when our first son was born.
Okay.
Always had involved like in those cooking parts and all that. Yeah, sure. But that was my biggest challenge and where I just actually became more professional at it. But it was our first son was born and we decided that I'm going to stay home I'm kind of those weird guys.
No, that was my dad.
No,
yeah.
Really?
I mean, he's a weird guy for sure.
Oh, well, yeah.
But he's awesome. But yeah, he was a stay-at-home dad. It's not for the faint of heart.
So I decided to make all his soups, make all his little things like I had it. And from there, I just asked my family like the recipe of the jams. That's how everything started. So you have this apple sauces or the Gerber things.
Yeah.
I made those for our son. And that's how everything moved. And then we sold, I remember one Christmas in the church, like bunch of jams and jellies. And then somebody told me like, oh, you should do that more. Or you should, so everything just, and from
This was
there.
in Costa Rica?
In Costa Rica.
Okay.
From there, like the restaurants came and.
You had restaurants?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Polish restaurants?
It was a Polish-inspired with Costa Rica ingredients restaurant.
How fun.
Oh, it was fun.
So you weren't a stay-at-home dad for very long, it sounds like?
It was a year, I think. It was a year. Maybe less, right? It was two years. So
Oh, yeah.
it
Good thing she's here.
Yeah,
We got
I
the
know.
peanut gallery over
Keep,
there.
keep me
Keep him in line,
accountable. Come
Gloriana.
on. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the intersection between Jesus and food? Or like when did you start following Jesus and how did that eventually intersect with food?
Well, that's my dad was the first like Christian in the family.
Okay.
So he always gave us that part. But it was not until I was the rebel and crazy and doing all the things that you should not be doing when you're young. But anyway, I did it. And I can say it was a point where everything got serious and everything got tight. So I just turned to a friend of mine from high school that few weeks later, like we met one time and he told me about, oh, hey, I'm a worship leader and I'm doing all these things. I was like, oh, yeah, cool, man. I know all the verses of the Bible and I know all these things and what to say, but I don't know. And so he told me that. I got in a very hard moment. It was a very hard week. But God gave me the opportunity to just, I have these things like restore, redeem, revive.
That's right.
So that was my moment. And then after that, we start going to church. We start serving more. We were not married, but we decided, okay, we're going to get married only in the Christian church. And there, anyway, that changed. From that part, I started getting more involved using food. It just came natural. Like, oh, we are doing this. Oh, let me cook. Oh, we're doing that. Oh, let me just... And I became this person that just start making food.
Yeah.
It's all this path that I can try now to, when I'm talking with you, trying to just get them.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I always been this very unsettled kid, right? This crazy kid that always looked for how to find out. That put me in front of a company that produces mushrooms in Costa Rica, and they had a lot of waste. And I was like, oh, I can fix that. So I make a recipe of mushrooms that go in a can, but there's a sauce and natural and blah, blah, and they start selling them. They recommend me to somebody else. Can you make me a mushroom powder? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So I started becoming I develop recipes.
Wow.
I know, that's weird. And then I make one that actually you need to be 18 years old. No, at least here, 21.
Okay.
But you still can get it. It's a strawberry jam with rum in it.
Ooh.
And it was because the owner of this rum company gave to his wife a strawberry farm. She didn't like it. So they have a lot of strawberries to waste. So let's make a recipe. So I just did that, and a lot of culinary consulting using the business model, using like the business knowledge or marketing, and put it in there.
How cool.
But I just discovered that I like more cook and teach or talk with people about that. So it was.
So then how did you go from, doing all of these endeavors in Costa Rica, how did you end up in Jacksonville?
Oh, that's lovely. That's, I'm a number 7 in the Enneagram, right? So I'm like, oh, everything new, let's go, right? Like, it's crazy.
Everything's an adventure.
Exactly. So at that moment, we had 2 or 3 restaurants, and we had a kitchen that it worked like a Lego. So we were the kitchen of the kitchens. So if you had a restaurant, I go design your menu, and I pack all your food of your menu, and I just deliver it to you. You just open, heat, plate, and then you can serve. And minimal cost and a bunch of other things that help you to the business. So we were pretty busy. There were some challenges happening there. Like there's things and I started learning. That was, I think, part of my learning process, that you cannot do business or you cannot pull the same card if you don't have the same faith, if you don't have the same principles or values. So that started happening. So anyway, we decided to just sell that part. We'll sell the shares and you can do you, right? And at that time, Gloriana got offered a position here in Jacksonville. I was like, heck yeah. I was like, we can take all that. I'll open a restaurant. We will do it. And the first thing she called me, she was in another country, and she calls me and she's like, hey, they offered me that. I was, yeah, let's go. Go and interview and do all that, which was great. But I think everything is like a process. And yes, I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of fears. And from, you were here and now you're just letting all that go, because I have that nature sometimes. And that's a different podcast.
Yeah, that's right. We'll
more
have you
sadder.
back for part 2.
But yeah, so we just moved here. I had this idea. I start talking with people that are realtors or restaurateurs and how we can have a restaurant here and what it takes and all that. But we had an agreement. Gloriana needs to work in her promotion, and I need to stay home and take care of the kids. So by that time, Nico was 5 and Simon was 2. So imagine that. So I became from being this huge, busy, every high speed, go, to do the same thing, but with 2 babies. And I remember we had a red van, like those soccer mom cars. The minivan. And it was great. So I spent a lot of time with them and trying to rebuild that. I had that with Nico. I didn't have that with our other son, Simon. So it was great. But then I was like, how we end up in 1122, that's through Gloriana.
Okay.
Because she came several times here to the headquarters of the company that she was working for. And she always kept hearing 1122. So she, one Thursday, she's like, I'm going to check it out. So she walked in on Thursday night service and she saw Joby preaching and she's like, I think you guys are going to get along. She texted me and she was like, yeah, this is the church that we're going. So she's the boss. And yeah, when we moved here, we didn't know locations. Wow. So for the first 6 weeks that we had a temporary living, we walked to Bay Meadow campus.
Okay.
For 6 weeks, with a stroller and all that dress. And so it was great. But I think God needed to work more in my life and take bunch of things that I had wrong. I still have a bunch of things wrong, but started the process. So I was like, we serve in the church that we went in Costa Rica and we love them. So I was like, I think if I can manage some restaurants, I can make some cupcakes for staff in the mornings, Sunday. And that's how I started. I texted.
You served in the hospitality?
Yeah, I was doing cupcakes and cups with fruits and yogurt for many, many times until I met Miss Nita.
Yeah.
Actually, she still has the letter that I sent her because I sent her an email to serve.
Oh.
And I told her, like, hey, if I have to clean bathrooms, if I have to do this, please let me know. I just want to join and serve.
Wow.
And she gave me the opportunity. And I was like, yeah, we have some space in the serve hub. So every Sunday at 7 a.m., I show up, I make coffee and cut a few things or start making fruit cups or making like fun and start building relationships. And I think after that, I was asked to go to staff retreat and to cook. And from there, I started getting more involved. And then that's where the sausages come.
So, well, I want to pause for just a second because I think it's so important for people to know that you didn't just wake up one day and become the sausage dude, which I say that, a little tongue in cheek, but it's, there are so many steps that God calls us to, and sometimes you can't see. Well, I mean, I think about this podcast. If you would have told me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you're going to have a podcast, I'm like, you're kidding. Like, I don't want a podcast. No, that's not my goal. But when you just start taking the steps in front of you, so, I mean, for you to just start making some cupcakes and some fruit cups and yogurt for the volunteers who are serving in church on Sundays, you probably never would have known that would land you where you are right now.
No.
And you didn't need to know it then.
No.
You just knew God was calling you to that next step, and you just took it, and you took it, and you took it, and doors kept opening, and God kept affirming, I'm going to use all of your expertise, all of your skill, what you learned as a small child back in Poland, and I'm going to create this incredible ministry, which is, I mean, it's kind of humbling, honestly. I'm even talking about it like I'm feeling small.
I still don't, like, now that you're saying like that, I even barely speak English.
Also that, you're learning a new language.
So I had this very, according to what many people tell me, crisp Middle Eastern accent. Like, okay, I can grow more of my beard then and then be more crazy if you want.
Be more crazy.
But no, but the loving of people around.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of words to express, but I did it through the food.
Wow. Yeah.
So I know how to say pineapple now, or I know how to say coffee or things like that, but it was just that.
Well, food is the universal
It's
language.
the universal language.
Everybody can connect over food. And we see it in the Bible. I mean, Jesus did so much ministry around a table. Breaking bread, having a meal together is supernatural. There is something that happens.
It's completely, it's one of the most intimate things that you can do.
Right.
That you share. And then that's why you need to, that's maybe you put a lot of effort in it because you want to just do that. You want, when you get the bite of whatever, even if it is like a pineapple with yogurt and granola on the top, I want you to know that I was caught with a very sharp knife, but really well for you.
Yeah.
And that was 8 years ago, I think.
Wow. Okay, so how did Sausage Dudes come to be?
Okay, so if we take that part, I was invited to the staff retreat to just help to cook.
Right.
And I was in a poker table with some friends there and some of our pastors. It was great. I feel like I barely speak and they love me, right? So it was good. They don't care about.
Everybody loves you.
But the cool part for me was like I was not being judged. I was not being questioned. I was not being like, hey, you barely can speak. I had a big complex. I still have it. Like thinking that maybe I tweaks a word, maybe I'll say something that is not good, or I was like, well, now what helped me to overcome, it was the family that was building around, there was the church. There's nothing around, and everyone was very, and I have to say that because you don't, like, as a foreign, I had to graduate as a redneck, right? Right, you don't graduate from that; you just become. But
Polish
anyway,
redneck. That's a new one.
That's how they call me.
A Polish Costa Rican redneck.
A Polish Costa Rican redneck. That's how they call me at the retreat.
That's a lot.
Yes, actually, there is many funny stories, but the love that I had and no judgment that I didn't speak very well, but that's why I tried to. Okay, let me overcompensate with the food, or let me try to show you that I'm good. I'm not weird. I just need a little more time. Even we took Gloriana encouraged me to take some English lessons from like a place. And I went there every Monday night and tried to learn.
Wow.
And because Food Network doesn't work always, right?
Oh, yeah.
You always talk salt and pepper. That's it. The only thing that you can say. But it was great. And in that poker table, I still remember that time. Ben told me, you should go on a mission trip. I was like, really? Sure. But my idea of a mission trip, it was like, give me a hat, give me a machete, Indiana Jones style, let's go. I had all these ideas. But he was very smart and he said, just let's go to a mission trip. I said, yes. That was the catch. Next week, I think I volunteer that more. So I asked to do an apprenticeship in hospitality after that staff retreat. And I start serving. So I start showing more, serving like in the staff Tuesdays. And then I saw Ben again and he's like, hey, do you know where we're going? I was like, I don't know, but I want to go. Let's go. Right? Like this puppy.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we're going to Costa Rica. I was like, no. Heck no.
You're like, no, that's not a mission trip for me.
I'm not going to Costa Rica. But there is a lot of things around it. And here's where, to me, I think it was the before and the after. Because being from that person that goes once a week to a TV show and presents food and the national TV in Costa Rica, or having the restaurant, or having this many people on Facebook or whatever. And now, what do? Oh, I'm a homestay dad. I take care of my kids. I'm Mrs. Dollfire, bald beard, and with a Bible.
With the Bible.
And now I'm going back to that place. Oh, they're going to see me like this crazy missionary or this guy that I was not the perfect, but let's say I was good, but not that good.
Sure.
And then now you show up and so that had all these ideas and thoughts that why should I go on a mission trip, especially to Costa Rica, where everyone can see. And when they ask, hey, Patrick, where are you? Oh, I'm in Costa Rica. Oh, what are you doing there? Oh, now you're a missionary? Or now you're doing this? And
Just the whispers.
all the whispers. And guess what? I believe those.
Yeah.
So I said, man, I didn't know how to raise money for a mission trip. I don't know how to, hey, can you give me $20 for my trip? I even got asked that, no, you're going in a vacation tour or things like that. So I was like, well, I'm going to make sausages and nobody's going to buy the sausages from this guy that barely speaks English, and that'll be the perfect excuse. I couldn't raise money. I'm sorry, man, I'm not going. But God, right? That's the but God.
Yep.
2 weeks later, I show up to Jesse every week with checks. I pay for my spot and for one more person to go.
Because people were buying your sausage.
Yes.
Where were you selling it?
I don't know. In the parking lot?
What?
Neighborhood?
Out of your car?
Yeah, literally. That was like kind of like the
You're the black
pig in a
market
blanket. Yeah.
sausage.
So it was so crazy.
Wow.
I woke up to a garage to a neighbor. I think he was one of the people that broke that thought that I had.
Okay.
Because he's like, how many sausages do you have? I was like, well, I have 20 pounds. 20 pounds at $10 is $200. So I was like, bring them all. Okay. And he's the total opposite of like,
Yeah.
he and I were like oil and water, but he saw that.
Wow.
He's a believer, and he saw that part. So when I cross the street, get to his driveway, go to his garage with this little plastic thing of 20 pounds of sausages, and they all packed and all that. And he just put them in the freezer. I'm like, okay. So probably the whole full service, right? I have to pack them. And you want me to cook them for you? I even said that. And he gave me a check, $600. And then another person gave me another check. And then another person heard that I was doing that.
Wow.
So I went to Costa Rica, and that's my life change. I signed to be an apprentice in missions. Then I got the internship, and I spent 4 years in the church, just doing all that. And
I don't want people to miss that. So you went from being this big deal head restaurateur. You're on the food channels on the news in Costa Rica. I mean, you're running businesses. And then you humbled yourself and became an unpaid apprentice and then a low paid intern, but paid a little bit at the church to start exploring what God had for you. Like nothing was too beneath you in a way, even though you probably knew cognitively, like, I'm overqualified, I'm overeducated, I have more experience than what this is, but
I was the oldest in the internship.
it doesn't make sense on paper, but
Yes.
but I'm going to do it because I know God's calling me to do it.
It was something. I can back it up for a second, because we moved here. I didn't have tattoos, right? So that's the weird part. Now look at that.
Now it's
I have
growing,
everywhere.
it's growing.
Right, it's growing. There's a taste growing. So anyway, when I told you that redeem, restore, revive. I don't know, but probably every husband has this. When his wife is not around, you get all the whispers and you get... My wife had to travel. So I stay home, of course. And this was already after my mission trip. And then I was doing the apprenticeship. And I think it was the ending of the apprenticeship in missions. And I was taking the opportunity to do the internship. So again, that's another 2 years. That's a lot of commitment on my wife, because she was the one who was providing everything.
Right, yeah.
I was just doing one cook, one here, one there, but that was nothing comparing to what she needed to put the weight of all the bills and everything that allowed me to do that. If not, I probably would be like running because I applied to Chick-fil-A to be the director of operations. They gave me the job, and I cry when I called the owner. I told him, like, I'm not going. I'm going to the church. So anyway, and one of those trips, I'm sitting in the couch watching TV, and I got this huge anxiety, horrible fear, like those things that you're dealing inside that they are like, you cannot explain. I had a call with a friend. He told me, like, hey, man, what are you doing? Like, you were here, now you're there, now you're just like, what are you doing? It's not what we are for, and things like that. And what people think. So, I'm not going to say that you're unemployed and you're taking care of kids. I'm going to say that you're an entrepreneur and looking for a business. All those titles and start lying. So probably from all the things that I said, I think this one for me was the moment when I decided, okay, this is where I am, is where God wants me to be. And with the restore, redeem and revive. So let me back you a few years. I'm in this couch, right? I got these fears. And that Sunday, Pastor Joby preached about Matthew 17:7, where the mountain is transfiguration, and Jesus take Peter and John and walk in there, and Peter, let's make a tent, and all that things that Peter, definitely on Peter. But anyway, when they fall on their faces, and Jesus tells them, rise and have no fear. So that's this one. That came immediately to my head. And then I always chop the song name, but it's that You Are Not Slaves of Fear.
Oh, yeah.
Gloriana sent me that song, and I'm over and over and over listening. So I'm just building that, like a pressure cooker with the anxiety, but the song is coming. So it's just, it's kind of like about to explode. And so I don't know if this is, but anyway. So when I was 14 years old, my mom passed away. And that was I had to take care of my brother. He was a year and a half, and my sister, 4 years old. And if I can summary all that, imagine like the Cinderella story. That's what happened. But that's another. It was a very tough moment. That was I think before we started, I told you, like, when somebody tells you no, you will say yes. So many things happened, and I was told you have to take all the Poland history and you cannot do it anymore. You don't have. Anyway, so I sold chickens in a wheelbarrow. Yeah. Collect coins to call in a public phone, to call my grandma. Imagine how many coins I have to use to call an international call. But anyway, the day of the funeral, or the day before the funeral, my dad told me, hey, let's go and buy some clothes for you. I was like, okay. But I'm a teenager. I'm dumb, right? Not dumb. Not a teenager. I'm not dumb. But I was dumb. So he takes me to this mall, and he's like, whatever you want, pick. So I go to this very famous store in the 90s. I buy the shirt that I wanted, the belt, the purple pants. Yeah, don't judge. No. Oh, yeah, don't judge me. But that's like vanilla style.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah, it was weird. Anyway, some boots, and I was feeling pretty cool because I need to be the coolest guy in my mom's funeral. How dumb, right? But anyway, so that whole happens. And now I'm in this couch years later. And I hear the voice of God, and he's like, look, even when you were dumb, even that you were in one of the toughest experiences in your life, I was there. Guess what was the brand that I was wearing? And I had it all over my place. And I still have, not the shirt, but I have the
purple pants.
No, I burned them, but I had like pictures of that.
What?
No Fear.
Wow,
Remember No Fear, that brand? No Fear. So I had a big No Fear it was a white No Fear. And God took me there. So No Fear, I was there. You didn't understand. But I used that moment to explain you 30 some years later that rise and have no fear.
Wow.
Don't worry about it. And from that, I don't know, everything changed. I just let go, whatever people can think, let go, all that. And I was like, this is the moment that I need to understand that I'm not here just because I want a name. I'm here to just share the gospel.
Wow.
And yeah, so of course, I'm too dumb. So I need to just tattoo it.
Of course,
right?
Yeah, we're all like that. We forget.
So now I have a whole story with them because after that came the Tetelestai.
Wow.
So rise and have no fear. It is finished. And this is the last one. Actually did this too. I can tell you about them later. But I think that was the moment that I understood. And I took full on 100%, 110% in the internship. And yes, in the internships, the funny part, you have to do like a little 5-minute preaching presentation. All mine were like recipes sharing. All of them. So that's super fun. Like then all the pastors like, yeah, bro, you remember it's not about the food, right? It's not about the food. It's not about the food. So
Jesus, you know?
I had like the progression. So my last preaching thing, it was in Bay Meadows. It was in front of everyone. And that was zero about the food. So I think, I got it.
Yeah. You know what's so cool is in asking you how Sausage Dudes came to be, your answer was so much about your identity, which this is the thing. I mean, we hear it at our church, identity precedes activity. And I love that which we haven't even gotten to, how Sausage Dudes did actually start. But I just love that you just took us on a journey of actually what God did in you first. And I think anybody that has a dream or a goal or something that they feel God calling them to do, if you don't do that internal heart work, that the wrestling with God about where do I find my identity? Because if he would have just dropped Sausage Dudes in your lap before you did all of that, who am I gaining approval from? Yeah. What am I afraid of? What are the doubts that I'm wrestling? If you didn't do all of that wrestle, then who knows how you would have stewarded Sausage Dudes,
Not even
but now
existed.
You can do it. You can lead from such a place of freedom, knowing that your identity isn't in the thing. Even though God's called you to it, your identity is still not in it. Yeah. Your identity is still in him. This is just now the vehicle by which you get to live out that identity in him, which is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us how Sausage Dudes started.
So in all those events that the church does, so I always ask, hey, if you need somebody to cook, I'll do it. So I was invited to a clay shooting And there I met Paul. And then we both like speak Spanish. So we connected and we talk, and I told him, like, hey, you should come to my house and we should just share some food. We didn't, because between men, you never get like in a calendar. So months later, we met with our wives in a retreat, and then our wives made all the calendar thing. And so we went home for this dinner, and we made sausages. I tried to show Paul, like, this is...
Yeah.
And Paul, he has this vision always, this mind that works very, very amazing. Like, and he's like, hey, why we don't do this more? So we start doing it just as a fun therapy, and a lot of people here in Florida hunt, so we can process everything in our own. So I think every Tuesday for 2 years, we just made sausages and drink and talk and have fun.
Yeah.
And share with others. And then I have a bunch of our friends and that just, hey, I got a deer. Can you just process it? I was like, yeah, sure. Yes, let's do it. So we got together, we break animals together, and it to the point that one day we invited 2 couples. Well, I don't know if I can say the names, but they go to our church, and one of them is like, hey, because we just invite him, we normally eat the sausage that we make, and then maybe some steaks or something. So it was like a dinner. And so we're making the sausage where there's blood everywhere, and it's not funny, right? It's funny, but it's not like nice.
Right.
And one of them is like, hey, you should do this in front of people. I was like, what? Yeah. And then you talk about mission. And then we start making the sausage events. If I call them sausage parties, that would be bad.
Yeah, we can't call them
No,
sausage
we can't.
parties.
But it's a whole sausage event. So this family allowed us to be in their house, and we did a sausage event. And then we start talking about like the mission clubs in Panama, Boys and Girls Club. And at that time was Costa Rica. So we started just talking about that. But I always had this thing. No, let's just do that and share some food and some culture, and that's it. And slowly, I think it took us like maybe a year and a half, and then we did one that one of the guys like, hey, I know a guy that he's a broker. That was actually Paul's roommate for years in college, and he put us in touch with Publix. And yeah, it was never expected like that. So we went to Lakeland, where the Publix headquarters are.
Publix, like one of the largest grocery stores in the country.
And I'm probably chopping many things, but literally that's how it happened. They tasted. We told them the story. I think that already, by that time, I was already involved with Poland, with our partner in Poland, that, by the way, is incredible. Mm-hmm. We've been doing a lot of things now. We have mission trips there. But anyway, so we go to Lakeland, like this, literally 2 dudes just, and a bunch of samples.
Just 2 sausage dudes.
And they told us, like, hey, you cannot cook them. You have to bring them cooked. So I go to Walmart, buy a Ninja fryer. So those are great. Ninja fryer. We rent a hotel with this, like the suites, whatever they call it. So you have a kitchen. And we start cooking sausages.
In the hotel
In
suite
a hotel.
to present to Publix.
Yes. We go downstairs, and there's people complaining about the smell. So that whole hotel smelled like sausage. So we, of course, give sausages to people, and that was great. Everyone knew that we were going on a meeting with Publix.
Oh, my gosh.
So we go there. Everything is very serious because this is a corporate.
Publix, yeah.
It's So we go. I have my samples. We have these hot boxes, and we're just 4 guys in a. Actually, our manufacturer came, and 4 guys plus the guy who just took us there, and a lady walks in the elevator. Nobody's saying a word, and this lady's like watching us, read our shirts, and she breaks. this is the best name ever. The sausage dudes. You cannot make this thing up. And then everything just dropped. We went to do the presentation. We told them that actually part of the proceeds of the sausage dude goes to missions or youth development. And it's been, since then we are over a year now there.
Wow.
It's been a lot of learning.
Sure.
It's a lot of challenges. It's a lot of different things. But it's not about that. It's about what it's been happening around. I mentioned Poland. I have so many things and thoughts that I would love to just share, but I have to hold myself because if not, we will talk 3 hours. But I've been in Poland over 3 times, and 2 of those we deliver medicine, we deliver equipment when the war started, and people got saved, people got baptized, people that were atheists. I share a few stories. Victor, Victor Mesa, he's one of them, and he's incredible. Another 2 ladies were with us, Laura and Jessica, and we went to rescue a girl that she was an atheist. She was running from the war and from many other bad things. From where we pick her to where we drop her in a safe house, it was 5 hours. We have an 11:20 tour that she translate the whole 5 hours to this girl.
Wow.
We learned that she's atheist. She was running from sexual exploitation and human trafficking and abuse and a bunch of things. 2 years ago, December, she sent me a picture that she's now in Birmingham, London, with her daughter, Visa. She got baptized.
Wow.
So, yes, the sausage dude is cool and all that.
But it's just the vehicle.
But it's a vehicle.
Yeah.
So, and even I was sharing this in my disciple group today that I did an event on Saturday where a bunch of guys in motorcycles came, right? And so we cooked for them. And I had 2 young men that were there helping me to do it. And they never felt so welcome. And they never knew about the church or anything or the people around. And now one told me like, hey, I'm signing for a mission trip.
Wow.
Hey, I'm going I told my mom and we're coming. So I think allows just people to connect.
Absolutely.
That's it.
That's beautiful. And that's the whole point. Like, it's not about the sausage,
No.
but that's what God has uniquely gifted you with to then share the gospel and share the good news. It's so beautiful.
Through a dumb sausage.
Well, we're out of time, Patryk. I just can't thank you enough. Thank you for being obedient to what God's calling you to do, for making delicious sausage. Everybody should buy Sausage Dudes
thank you.
sausage. The original Polish sausage is my favorite.
Oh, really?
I have to say,
well,
yeah.
I brought you some of that.
I saw that. I'm so grateful for that. But we'll link it so people can buy it.
Thank you.
I'm just so excited to see how God continues to multiply the efforts of the Sausage Dudes and make an impact around the world. So thank
you
so much.
so much. I appreciate that.
Neighbors is produced by Logger Creative and Taylor Minning. Music by Austin and Lindsay Adamak. Artwork by Wesley Parsons. And motion graphics by Robbie Burns.
Living to love like, living to love like you have loved me. You show me brighter days, new mercies every morning.